Thanks for joining me. My name is Mike Gendron. I'm a partner with CFO Insight. And today's discussion, we're going to talk about cashing out at full value. The last time we set the stage talking about PE ratios and the strategic importance of your business and cash flows. Well, today I want to peel it apart just a bit more. Just a bit more. Many people, when I say, tell me about your company, they say, well, we manufacture and we sell stuff, whatever that may be. My question is, well, what does that mean, you manufacture and sell? Are you selling a company as one unit, or is it really something that is an intertwined mix of functions and things done? Functions and things done. Even a $3 million business or a $2 million business has a group of activities. So today we're going to look at this matrix. This matrix is your company. And I can say that comfortably because every element of this matrix is in every company, any size, anywhere in the world. Today we're going to explore the matrix and challenge ourselves, rate ourselves on how effective we are at managing this matrix. So let's look at it. Across the top, what do we have? We've got people, business processes, plant and assets, product, and market. Now, I'll spend a few minutes discussing each one of those in a few minutes, and later on in these discussions, in this series of discussions, we'll dig more deeply into each element so that you can understand how to evaluate your company and create value by managing it better. Let's look down the left side of this matrix. What do we have? We've got logistics, operations, sales, marketing, and service. Well, those have been defined as primary activities. They actually contribute value to the customer transaction. The customer transaction. The other items, human resources, finance, IT, legal, other, well, those are functions within your company that you need to keep the company running. So for example, human resources. You have to be able to hire and promote and develop policies to manage the organization that's delivering product to your customer. Now, the reason I bring this matrix up, the reason I introduce it, is that when you're selling a company or when you're managing a company to improve value, you can't just improve the company, you improve elements within the company. So as an example, you may improve the process in operations to reduce your cost of sales. You don't improve the company, you improve one component of the company to maximize value. Now let's just quickly go through the headings across the top. People. Now in my broad definition, I consider people any individual or organization that your company interacts with, inside or outside the company. When I first talk to people about people in their organization, they think employees. It's far beyond that. It's far beyond that because it could include customers, vendors, subcontractors, government agencies, who knows what. And we're talking about actual and potential. We will dig more deeply into this later on. So that's people. It's much broader than just your employees. Processes. How do you do stuff? Business processes. You'll find over the course of these discussions that I'm a bit of a fanatic on lean business. Lean business. Do the right thing the right way every time. Couldn't be simpler. Eliminate waste. Couldn't be simpler. Well, to put lean in an entire organization might take years to do it effectively. To prepare your company for sale, you may want to focus on one or two particular areas that create the most value. Prioritize your activities. But processes are, what do you do and how do you do it? I've seen many companies that have extremely well-documented processes, but when you talk to the people about, well, how does this work? The response is, well, we don't use those processes, they're far too complicated. That's a problem. When we get into the process discussion, in a future discussion, we'll dig more deeply into that. Plant. Now in plant, I'm talking about plant and all assets, could be intangible assets. It could be leased assets. You don't necessarily have to own them. It could be assets that you use, I'll say informally, which might be a relationship with a vendor who does an additional layer of value add that the average vendor doesn't. Subcontracting kind of work. So plant and assets, it is what is something used by your company to create value for your customer? Product. Product. My gosh, some companies have a product line that hasn't been updated in 5 years. What kind of management is that? It's a management that is comfortable. So in our discussion about adding value, we're going to focus on product, and I'm going to be looking for product pipeline and the ability to identify opportunity, develop a product, and successfully launch it. And that's going to be planning and executing to a plan. Product discussion, very important as it relates to the value of your company. Think about it. If you had early PCs right now in your inventory compared to a simple iPhone today, would the value be worth anything? No, a simple PC wouldn't. So I want to talk about your products, and then market. What market are you in? And can you shift to a higher value added market without creating too much additional business risk? Many years ago, I was with Bausch & Lomb, which had an identity of an industrial instruments company. We traded at a multiple of less than 10. By shifting our product line to more medical products, we actually traded in the 20 range in a PE ratio. Now, we did a lot of work to make that transition, but think about the value add for the stockholders by moving from one to another market area. And also in market, we're going to talk about competition, other influences that affect value add. Human resources and secondary or support functions, well, we're going to talk about those to say, how can we shift from what I call a support function to a primary function? How can we help the finance people become better at providing quality service to our customers? Each of these areas, we will discuss each of these areas in future sessions. Now, you'll notice at the top of this matrix, we say rate yourself from 1 to 5. Well, this is an informal survey, and I want you to be harsh. You won't be as harsh as a potential buyer who's writing a check for your company. But I want you to think about it. And the reason I want you to think about it is we have an opportunity, once you do this assessment, to either focus on the great things and increase our competitive or improve our competitive position, or focus on the places that need help and improve those so that we increase value. It all comes down to improving selected items to get the most value from your investment. Now, one of the questions when we look at improving value is how much resource do you have available? When we get into this process, ideally we will find what people often refer to as low-hanging fruit. Well, if we prioritize properly, we should be able to fund our change management process in all of these areas through improvement. So, for example, if we find a way to improve operations by 1%, we may choose to bring that to the bottom line, or we may choose to reinvest that in something like new product development. Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. Okay, so in this session, all I wanted to do was introduce the matrix, have you self-assess, think about your competitors and where you are, and then identify 1 or 2, maybe 3 areas where you think you can improve. We'll talk about how you can improve those areas, the specifics of lean business or organization management, staffing, outsourcing in later sessions. So for today, think of your business as a matrix of potential improvements and identify your strengths and weaknesses. Thanks for joining me today. We'll talk to you next time.